Guys, welcome.
Hello.
We are back. We are in a skate bowl. Today we are talking about the buyer's... No, we're not. We're talking about the sold journey.
The sold journey, our brand new series.
Sold journey. We're starting a new series called the sold journey. This one starts with a buyer, a successful buyer of ours, which we're going to run through the details of their transaction and our process to sold with them. Ben's going to give you some information on that in a second. The first property in this series that we're going to do is number 6, Renaissance Square, Unit 111. This is in the Key over in New West. Beautiful little community, waterfront, both real water and some man-made little fountains and all that, really giving a great ambiance. So this was a very successful purchase for these guys, exactly what they were looking for after a long journey. Ben's going to give you a bit more insight into that long journey right now, but welcome to the first episode of the new series.
Yeah, so as those of you who have been watching us for a while, you know that we're kind of not afraid to say it how it is as well. So we're going to tell you what happens with the good, the bad, and the entertaining, because usually the entertaining things do make for a pretty good story. So this one actually wasn't that long of a journey thinking about it, but this one took some key points here. 2 days worth of showings, 9 showings in totals, 5 rounds of back and forth offers / counter offers.
Pretty standard, yeah.
172.2 kilometers in additional driving, not even including back and forth from showings, and $231.24 worth of Christmas decorations from Superstore in order to get it done.
That's interesting.
And survival of a dungeon.
The dungeon?
A dungeon, yeah, which we'll come to. So this one to start off with, and this was a very, very typical situation. So this was actually somebody looking for entry-level property, and personally, I don't think you get any more different in terms of properties. Like it couldn't be more different in $500,000 in Vancouver versus $500,000 in New West.
Very diverse, yes.
The property types are just 2 completely different properties, of course. So we were looking in both areas. They weren't sure of whether they wanted to go Vancouver or New West. And so we did 2 showings. So Jay and I decided, along with the client, the best thing to do would be we're going to do one for Vancouver and one for New West. We don't want to push somebody towards either way because we want them to make their own choices for this. So we decided to opt for both. So that started off with the kind of New West at first. Like you said, we found this beautiful new spot. So the added complication, not complication if you will, but these were actually a referral to us from some of our previous clients.
Yes.
This was a parental,
very close referral.
This was a parental referral, which is, I mean, on one side, you've got to be doing things pretty good to get referred to the parents. Then on the other side, you've of course got the pressure to...
A lot of pressure. But yes.
To obviously meet the expectations of the parents. And we're already indebted to the parents because without the parents, then we wouldn't have our previous clients.
Have the first client, yeah.
So, but we'll just swiftly move on from that one. But yeah, Jay, why don't you give a little bit of a breakdown how the New West day went when we were looking around?
We looked at everything, including obviously the winning property. What we chose to do here, which is very common, is because we were breaking it up into 2 separate searches, the Vancouver and the New West, we of course, for logistical purposes and more importantly for memory sake, broke up the Vancouver day one day and the New West day the other day. If you're jumping back and forth, it's a lot harder to obviously remember. If we're going through this many, how many properties was it? 9?
9
yeah. Properties. You go through these things consecutively and it all very quickly blends together. So try and give as much segregation to these searches as possible, at the same time not doing it weekend 1 and weekend 2, so there's a whole week in between for you to forget all the details. So we built it.
Consecutive days is the best.
Consecutive days for that reason, yeah.
So we come on and we move on to Vancouver, which is where the dungeon comes in. Now the interesting thing about this is, and I said I'll keep it entertaining for you, these guys actually brought the boss with them. The boss is naturally their 7-year-old grandson.
All the opinions.
So we go into this one property, and so the property is painted black.
Naturally.
Mattresses, yes, that's like plural mattresses with mold stacked against the walls.
Nice.
Heavy metal posters posted like all along the sides, all along every wall you can see. Leftover substances all along the countertops. Junk stacked up in various different areas, garbage stacked up in various different areas, and a few things that I won't mention because this is a PG video, so we're just going to leave it there.
What about the blinds?
Blinds is a loose term. Blinds, they were actually cut out bin bags.
Garbage bags for the local.
Garbage bags for you Canadians here. And they were hung above, so naturally permanently closed.
Nice.
Now, of course, this is all on sale for the bargain price of $449,900.
Steal. Jesus.
Naturally, a 7-year-old wants nothing more to do than touch absolutely everything because it looks like a complete and utter treasure trove. So,
Yes.
needless to say, we didn't go for that one. No, he was actually so good. We said, just make sure you don't touch anything, buddy. And he was so good, he didn't touch anything. And then we had actually a few more showings that day. They weren't as bad as that, but I mean, I think
Nothing jumped out.
No, I think we pretty much had a buzz on as well because there was this marijuana smell that we just could not seem to get away from.
Always enhances the search.
So if anything, it confirmed Treble 1.6 Renaissance Square.
Yeah, for sure.
And I mean, comparing that versus, I mean, you can talk about the actual winning property in the end and what we managed to do in terms of getting it negotiated and included as well.
Yeah. So, as you've got so far, we viewed New West properties first, then we went to Vancouver. Before the search, we went through with the client specifically, look, you're going to be getting into some specific neighborhoods in this price point, of course, some specific types of buildings, types of environments, and it's going to be different between Vancouver and New West. Obviously, there's a different value proposition, but we wanted to make that clear to them, beyond just telling them that, of course. So we wanted them to experience that. So instead of trying to, I don't use the word push, but clarify up front and on paper, let's say, what they would like, we obviously wanted them to make that decision. So we brought them to all these properties in all these different neighborhoods. And before we viewed the Vancouver properties, they said we'd be okay with these neighborhoods and these types of properties. And of course, once we viewed them,
they're not okay with these neighborhoods.
No,
They're not okay
they're
with
definitely
these
off the
properties.
list. So we wanted them to come up with that clarification. That's obviously very important. We don't want any buyer's remorse or anything like that along the way for our clients. So we did that. That quickly clarified that Renaissance Square was the one, and New West was a better option in general, and more focused on Renaissance Square for the additional obvious reasons that the unit offered that you're going to talk about now. But just again, it's very important to go through all these steps with your agent, as we have. We believe, obviously, and as a buyer, you need to know firsthand, just because we don't want any calls later on. Oh, maybe I should have bought that. Maybe I shouldn't have bought this. So as long as everything is clear and precise, we need to put the time in to get to that end result that way.
Yeah, and I mean, what really worked for Renaissance Square is, I mean, it looked like it was straight out of a TV show. It was renovated beautifully. It was actually renovated for an owner who thought they were going to live there, and typically that's more care than somebody who's just trying to flip something. Matching stainless steel appliances, high-end ones, extended warranties, beautiful views, both of the quay and of the man-made water next to them, beautiful amounts of lighting. It was fantastic, and on top of that, we thought we could not just negotiate to be on budget, but under their budget.
Always got to try and get under that budget.
And then after 5 rounds of exhausting back and forth, and I think it was actually accepted at like 1:30 a.m.
It's usually
on like a Thursday morning, we actually managed to get it under budget, and we got a storage locker included for them as well, which was obviously
good ad, for sure.
Obviously a massive result there. Now, this agent who was listing this property was being extremely cautious due to COVID-19 and having people who are obviously at high risk within her immediate family, which meant that we went and kind of did the extra legwork, and hence where the 172.2 kilometers of extra driving came in. We were doing a lot of the appointments and things on the listing side that they were supposed to do due to their caution. And on one of which I thought I would take the fiance/wife.
Always risky.
First mistake.
Always risky.
Second mistake was not remembering Superstore having the Christmas decorations display outside on the way.
That was an entry-level mistake.
So on the way there, said wife has noticed these decorations, and by the time we've come back, she's already made the decision that we're going to purchase said Christmas decorations.
100%, not up to you.
So $231.24 later, we walked out with some Christmas decorations. And that's the addition.
Should look in to see if we can write that off, actually.
That's the additional cost that realtors have to face. But I'm super glad to say that yesterday we were able to hand over the keys. They're extremely excited, and You know, we went through the process from top to bottom with them and guided them throughout and managed to get them to come to the right conclusions for themselves, and they were over the moon, as you could see yesterday.
Yeah, so always the goal is that end result, and that end result I find is only found with putting in that legwork.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the mandatory key. Working on in this capacity as a buyer's agent, always kind of giving the buyer every opportunity to make their firm final decision.
Yeah, and I think there's sometimes with an agent there can sometimes be a bit of a rush to try and get to a result, but I think we believe it's definitely important to take, like, even if it's an afternoon or another morning, just to put in that extra bit of work with the client, just to make sure that they're not going to have that buyer's remorse and they're going to be 100% comfortable. Obviously, happy client, happy life, kind of the saying. But that extra bit of work usually we found makes all of the difference, and these guys turned in from a referral to a happy client in the end, so we're over the moon and overjoyed. The only thing I'm upset about is we usually have a scotch to celebrate and we forgot.
So we'll do it, don't worry.
Because you can't drink in public. But we'll have to save that for next time. But I think that sums up the journey this time.
That's it. For all the 1 or 2 layers deep into the onion of the intricate details, we've got it on the blog. So McInnesMarketing.com, news page, the most recent blog, which will go up, I think it's Thursday.
It'll be Thursday, yeah, tomorrow.
So all the further details to this journey to sold will be on there.
That's
and we will continue this as they arise in our lives. The Journey to Sold series has now begun.
It's begun. Thank you guys, and we'll see you next week.